For those of you who have not seen me yet, my name is Alexander Falk. I'm the incoming district governor for 22-23, and as such, it is my privilege to be serving with all of you and supporting you and your clubs during my year as district governor. And also, I have the wonderful opportunity to be telling you a little bit about Rotary and providing you with what we call pre-PETS training. PETS stands for President-elect Training Seminars. And as you saw in the emails that I sent out, that is happening in March this year, March 4th and March 5th. And let me just hit the mute all button here for a second so that we have less background noise. There we go. And that is going to be on Zoom as well. It's going to be a very inspirational list of keynote speakers and facilitators leading discussions. So if you keep your calendar free, please, for Friday afternoon, March 4th, as well as all day Saturday, that would be fantastic. And in our pre-PET sessions, we're going to do the first two segments, section 1 about Rotary International and section 2 about the district tonight. It should not take more than an hour and a half, so I promise you will be out before 8 o'clock. And we have a second date set up on the calendar for what we call pre-PETS part 2, which is section 3 and 4, and I believe that is on Saturday, February 12th in the afternoon. And it is at 3 p.m. So if you can also keep that free on your calendar, that would be great. And now, without further ado, let's go into this. I'm going to go through the slides at a fairly good clip because some of you are repeating presidents, and so some of that information may not be all new for you, but you will also get the slideshow afterwards as a PowerPoint document, as a reference, and we're going to record this session, so you can also refer to it again at a later point in time. And after we're done with section 1, I'm going to take a quick break for questions, and then we're going to go into section 2. So our learning objectives for section 1 are that we're going to cover the vision statement and strategic plan of Rotary International, the overall structure of how Rotary International works, the annual goals and where you enter them. We'll talk about the new RI president for our year and her theme. We'll talk about the Rotary Foundation and grants. And then we'll cover public relations, public image, the Rotary brand, and social media at the end. The Rotary vision statement is the following. Together we see a world where people unite and take action to create lasting change across the globe, in our communities, and in ourselves. And this vision statement comes together with the strategic plan of Rotary, which has 4 different priorities, which you can see below, and we're going to go through them on the next 2 slides. Priority number 1 is to increase our impact. People of action, which is what we are as Rotarians, are effective problem solvers, and we need to assess the needs of the communities and then join together to help make improvements in our communities. Our priority number 2 is to expand our reach. People of action activate and inspire one another, and our impact is larger when more people unite with us. People appreciate our ambitious, compassionate, inclusive spirit, and our stories give people hope that the world can change for the better. So we're going to invite others to join us and build connections and opportunities to share our passion. The next 2 priorities in the strategic plan for Rotary International are to enhance participant engagement. People of action strive to understand the needs of others and need to feel seen and heard. People are seeking experiences that feel relevant and fulfilling. And seeing our dedication, people are eager to join and go the distance with us. So we're going to commit to putting the needs, expectations, and growth at the center of all that we do as club leaders and district leaders. And our priority number 4 is to increase our ability to adapt. That's been certainly put to the test in the last 2 years of the pandemic. People of action are inventive, entrepreneurial, and resilient. We excel at finding new ways to lead the world to lasting change. And we have proven that we know how to help organizations of every kind. So we're going to seek out fresh opportunities during our year as leaders to create more paths to leadership and to open up our conversations to diverse voices and simplify how we operate. And last but not least, we'll stay true to ourselves and stay ahead of change. So that is the strategic plan of Rotary International. I'm not going to read this whole statement to you, but I implore you to check it out on the RI website. It's the new updated Rotary International Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion Statement. Rotary International put DEI at the forefront of their priorities about 2 or 3 years ago with a very short DEI statement. There was only 2 paragraphs, and has since then learned from that and now has a much more nuanced and precise diversity, equity, inclusion statement that is really worth reading and absorbing and digesting. Clearly, it is all about valuing and celebrating the contributions of peoples of all backgrounds and our commitment to advancing equity in all aspects of Rotary. But it's a really powerful statement. You can just search for it on the RI website or look at it here in the slideshow once you get the slides from me after our call tonight. So how is Rotary International organized, right? You know about your own club, and you know that you're part of our Rotary District 7930, which is 47 clubs in northeastern Massachusetts and southern New Hampshire. But what's the structure above us, all the way to the top? Rotary International, as an association of Rotary clubs, consists of 34 zones, which in turn are divided into 535 districts. And those in turn make up about 35,000 Rotary clubs around the world. And it's about 1.2 million Rotarians, plus about 200,000 Rotaractors. So say 1.4 million as a rough number. And we are part of Zone 32, which is basically the northeastern United States, plus the northeastern part of Canada and Bermuda. But Zone 32 is jointly administered with Zone 28, which is essentially the rest of Canada. And you can see that in the 2 maps here. So you will often hear people talk about zones 28/32 since we're together. And our 2 zones have 1 seat on the board of Rotary International. The board of Rotary International is composed of many directors, and each director represents 1 or 2 zones. And in our particular case, the RI director is chosen alternatingly from 1 year from Zone 28 and then the next time from Zone 32. The terms for Rotary directors, I believe, are 3 years. So it's every 3 years it alternates between our 2 zones. And obviously the purpose of RI as an organization is to support all the clubs and districts in the pursuit of our programs and activities. The president that we will all be serving with is Jennifer Jones. She is the first female president of Rotary International. It's about time. And she is from Canada. And I've had the opportunity to interact with her several times. She's absolutely a true visionary and is going to do a fabulous job as RI president. The theme that she has just announced a few days ago, to be precise, Thursday last week, for her year is going to be Imagine Rotary. And the logo that she has unveiled a week ago, which is what you see on the screen right now, was designed by an Australian Aborigine artist. And what it represents is the world of Rotary in the center, surrounded by the 7 areas of focus of our Rotary Foundation. And this green thing here is called a digging stick. It's used in Australia for any kind of yard work. It sort of symbolizes our power as Rotarians to get our hands dirty and get some action going and really change the world into a better place. And with Imagine Rotary, she wants us to think of what kind of future we want to build for Rotary. Do we want to reimagine how our clubs are meeting? Do we want to reimagine our membership? Do we want to imagine a future with clean water for everybody? So it's a very powerful theme, and I think we will all agreed to find ways to communicate that to our members over the course of the next year. Let me briefly talk to you about something else that is usually announced by the president around this time of the year. We don't have the exact details yet, only because our training as district governors has been postponed. I was supposed to be in Florida in January for what's called the International Assembly, which is the annual training of district governors around the world. And that was moved virtual due to Omicron. So our training session is going to happen February 7 to 14. So I'll probably get more details about the Rotary citation then, but it's very likely going to be similar to last year. There's going to be 25 goals that are available in Rotary Club Central that you can select from. And if you select at least 13 of these goals and then achieve those 13 goals for your Rotary Club, you will get a presidential citation, which is a little nice flag at the conclusion of your year as president. And we'll cover details about how to enter the goals a little bit later, but this is sort of the plan for the Rotary citation for the next year. In addition to Rotary International, of course, the second organization that we're all part of is the Rotary Foundation. It's the charitable arm of Rotary International. And the mission of the Rotary Foundation is to enable Rotary members to advance world understanding, goodwill, and peace through the improvement of health, the support of education, and the alleviation of poverty. And Rotary Foundation's motto is doing good in the world. Here in the United States, it's a Section 501c3 charitable nonprofit organization. It continuously receives the highest 4-star rating by Charity Navigator as a well-run and efficiently run organization. And it's our way to fund all sorts of projects, from district grants to global grants to local grants. And the Rotary Foundation operates in 7 specific areas of focus. So each project that is supported through a grant from the Rotary Foundation has to fall into exactly one of those 7 areas of focus. And those 7 areas are peace building and conflict prevention, disease prevention and treatment, water, sanitation and hygiene, maternal and child health, basic education and literacy, community economic development, and our latest and newest area of focus is the environment, which was announced 2 years ago and became an area of focus at the beginning of this particular Rotary year. When you support the Rotary Foundation, you can designate where the money goes. You can designate the money to go to the Polio Plus Fund, then it's specifically only used for polio eradication. You can designate the money to go to the annual fund, which supports the Rotary Foundation today, and all monies donated to the annual fund from our district are pooled, and 50% of those monies come back to us 3 years later to do district grants and global grants in our district. So money donated into the annual fund is what supports our own projects here in District 7930. And of course, if you donate to the Endowment Fund or leave a gift in your will or bequest, that is there for securing the future of Rotary International. The annual fund, as I mentioned, is the primary funding source for foundation grants and activities which include the district and global grants. And it supports local and international grants through the share system, where 50% goes into the World Fund and 50% comes to our district after 3 years. Contributions to the annual fund are credited to the Donors Club and also count for the achievement of club goals. So let's talk some exact numbers here. The annual fund share for the Rotary year 2019-20 that our district gave to the Rotary Foundation was $274,196. That was District Governor Joan Arsenault as our leader in that year. Of those monies, the following is going to happen in the Rotary year 2022-23. 50% will go to the World Fund, which is how the Rotary Foundation supports global grants through World Fund matches and also did disaster grants during the COVID period last year. So that's $137,000 and change. And 50% of those funds will come back to our district as district designated funds. And of these $137,000 and change, we will attribute half of them to district grants and half of them to global grants. So these are monies that are available for your clubs to do projects in the following year, either as district grant projects or as global grant projects. And we'll cover the exact mechanics of how this works in the district grant qualification seminar, which, as Terry mentioned before, is going to be held during the district assembly in April. And for that grant qualification seminar, our recommendation is that you send at least 2 members of your club to that seminar. Ideally, one of them is you as incoming club president. Should also be ideally the foundation chair of your club or the treasurer. But if you can send more than 2 members, then that's great, because the more people are qualified, the more people can then participate in the grants submission process and access the grants module in Club Runner. In addition, you will also have to insert your club's foundation goals into Rotary Club Central before the start of the year. And then there is a document called the Memorandum of Understanding, the MOU, between your club and the district, that needs to be signed every year in order to participate in foundation grants. And this document has to be signed by the current president and by you as president-elect. And we will get that document to you also at the time of the district assembly in April. And it's going to be an electronic signature process. So it's going to be using Adobe Sign. You just go to a web browser, click a few buttons, and then you're done. Very efficient. Let's talk briefly about the endowment funds. So gifts to the Rotary Foundation's endowment fund are held in perpetuity. So the gift principle is never being touched. Only after that those monies are professionally invested, a portion of the earnings of these funds are used each year by the trustees, and as a donor, you also have some control in what area those monies are being used. So you can make a gift to the endowment and say, I want this to be used for grants in the Rotary Foundation area of focus, peace building and conflict resolution. And then the proceeds from your endowment's investment will go to peace building and conflict resolution. For example, a portion of these endowments help to fund the peace centers around the world. And you can have named endowment funds if you give gifts of $25,000 or more in your bequest. Let's talk a little bit about recognition of donations to the Rotary Foundation so that you're aware of what the different levels are. You may have several members in your club who are already recognized in such a way, or you may yourself have already received such a recognition. As a person who contributes $1,000 to the annual fund, to Polio Plus, or to an approved global grant, or in whose name $1,000 is contributed, you are being named a Paul Harris Fellow. And for each subsequent $1,000, you then get additional little colorful gems on your Paul Harris Fellow pin. So there's a Paul Harris Fellow +1 with one little gem, +2, +3, +4, and +5. Once you get to +6, +7, +8, they change color from blue to red. And then once you are above your Paul Harris Fellow +8, you've reached a total amount of $10,000 of donations, and then you become a major donor. One way to get there really easily is you can join the Paul Harris Society. As a Paul Harris Society member, you pledge to give $1,000 per year to the Rotary Foundation, and then you get a little chevron that you can attach underneath your Paul Harris pin. And as I mentioned, the 2 directions that you can give to the Rotary Foundation is one for current funds through the annual fund and the other one through the endowment fund. If you make a provision in your estate plan or an outright gift to the endowment fund of $1,000, you're being recognized as a benefactor of the Rotary Foundation. And if that's not enough money and you want to leave more money to the Rotary Foundation in your will or in your estate planning documents, any provision in such an estate plan of $10,000 or more which could also be done through a life insurance policy, will make you a member of the Bequest Society. Those pins are sort of round Paul Harris faces with a blue border around them. And there is also multiple levels. It goes up from 10,000 into 25, 50 and more. Major donor, as I mentioned before, is $10,000 in current gifts cumulatively to the Rotary Foundation. And those recognitions are also for $10,000, $25,000, $50,000 and $100,000. You get additional diamonds on your pin as a major donor. But these recognitions are not just for individual people. The Rotary Foundation also recognizes clubs with a banner that is being presented to the club president at the conclusion of the Rotary Year. You can have a club that is 100% foundation giving. If every member gives some money is greater than, I believe, $50 to the Rotary Foundation. You can have a club that has 100% Paul Harris fellow members. And then the top 3 giving clubs per total donations are also recognized by the district governor at the conclusion of the year. You can also get a banner for being an ERace club. ERace stands for Every Rotarian Every Year. And it simply means that every Rotarian in a club makes a minimum donation of $25 to the Rotary Foundation. That covers the chapter on the Rotary Foundation. And now let's talk about public image and public relations. So very importantly in today's world is the way for us as Rotarians and for our Rotary clubs to set ourselves apart in the public mind by being present in multiple different channels. It used to be several years ago that all you had to do is build a good relationship with the editor of your local newspaper, and then they would run a story about your club every time you did a little something, and everybody would know about the good things that Rotary does in your community. Well, that doesn't work anymore because not a lot of people read the local newspaper anymore, if it even exists. Nowadays, you have to go about this in a different way and have to have a multi-pronged marketing strategy that includes classic media, local TV stations or local newspapers, as well as being present on your club website, social media, potentially having Twitter or Instagram club accounts, having a club Facebook page. And you can, of course, use a lot of materials that Rotary International provides you for these channels. But it's really important to utilize these technologies as an outreach. And ideally, it's not something that you have to do as club president, but ideally you will find hopefully a public image committee that you can form within your club that can do these things for you. And if you post a story on Facebook once a week, you will see results in terms of interest in your community increasing and potentially new members seeking out your club. So here's 6 social media resolutions to get your club noticed. Number 1 is be consistent. When you post on social media, there's absolutely no point if you run 3 stories today and then are silent for 5 weeks and then run 3 stories again. Steady trickle is exactly what we are going to aim for. So post regularly and often. So make yourself a goal that it's once a week. And then if you can do more, do twice a week. Depends really on who sits on your public image committee and also how many projects are you doing as a Rotary Club. So ideally develop a social media schedule where you sort of look at the entire year. When are the big events for your club? When do you need to make announcements about these big events or fundraisers or service projects coming up? And then leading up to those events, have a clear plan of how often you want to communicate about them and when you want to communicate about them. And then mix it up a bit. Do some stories about your own projects and then post something that you get from the Rotary International website. There's also several really good Facebook groups for Rotary public media out there that have images that are interesting that you can grab from those Facebook groups and then repost on your club's page. Most importantly, have a strategy behind it. Right? Is your social media outreach focused on gaining new members? Is it focused on making your club better known in your community? Is it focused on showing people what results you achieve with the projects that you're doing in your community? And then have ideally some written guidelines for what the social media strategy looks like, and then have fun with it. Most of social media is done by maybe the younger generations. So if you have some younger club members that are excited about social media, rope them in and see if we can have some fun with cool pictures taken at meetings. Ideally, don't post the meeting where two old white guys pass a check from one to the other, right? That's not the image that we want to transport out there. We want to be seen as people of action. And so it's much better if you have a lunch or backpack service project where you create backpacks for kids and you show all your club members packing those backpacks for the kids and have some action shots at different angles from that. Or if you are jointly going to my brother's table to feed the hungry, take some action shots there. That's much more powerful as a social media campaign than the big check image passed from one to the other person. As I said before, important for public image campaign is that you plan how to use those communication strategies to achieve your public image goals, and really consider how to create and implement, ideally, both an internal and external communication plan for your club. Because what you will see as club president is also that you need to motivate your own club members and communicate with them even more often than you need to communicate with the public. If it's whether or not it's a more formal newsletter that your club may have that comes out once a week, or if it's just an email from the club president that goes out once a week, it's really important to have a plan and then implement that communication plan so that you keep people updated. And then use public image resources that are available to you to enhance your communications efforts. And we'll cover those when we go to the Rotary Brand Center. There's also a lot of help you can get from the District Public Image Committee. And we are lucky that we have David Deutsch here, who is an assistant governor, but also the chair of the Public Image Committee for the district. I don't know if his face is frozen right now, but otherwise, David, can you wave? There we go. At least he's looking at the camera now. So if you have any questions, or if your public image committee in your club has any questions, you can reach out to David, and he can put you in touch with other public image committee members, and they can help you with any questions or concerns that you may have with the public image side. And then on the zone level, on top of that, there is also Rotary Public Image Coordinators in Zone 32 that can assist you with public image topics. As I mentioned, having a club public image chair is a great idea, and think about all these different channels, right? Your club's website, the Facebook page, what materials can you use from the Rotary Brand Center, and how can you use your club branding if you're doing any signature community events. And if you combine all these things, you can really get some increased visibility in your community, which can then lead to increased membership and contributions, potentially to partnership and support for local projects, and to having more engaged members as a result of all of that. In terms of what the target audience is for your public image strategy, obviously, as I mentioned, one audience is your own club members, your Rotarians in your Rotary Club. Sometimes you need to motivate them to volunteer for a service project. Sometimes you need to just inform them about the speaker who's coming next week. But if that information is available to your club members through multiple channels, like the club website, and maybe a newsletter, and maybe a weekly email from the president, that keeps them better informed. Your second target audience obviously is potential new members. We really want to present to them a very inviting image of our Rotary clubs. And then last but not least, the third target audience is the general public, your community at large, and how they perceive Rotary to be in your community. In terms of Rotary branding, I mentioned the brand center a couple of times already. You can find that by going to my.rotary.org and logging in with your My Rotary ID. And then in the top menu bar, there is an item that says branding, and under that you can find, I think it's media and branding. And under that you can find the brand center, and that's where you can download all these logos in print quality, in quality suitable for websites, and you can utilize them in any way. We will also, as part of Northeast Pets, soon give you access to a resource collection on the Northeast Pets website that has all the links to the branding center in there as well. And I'm probably going to share that after tonight when I share with you the slideshows. When you're using branding materials from Rotary International, please make sure that you're using the correct new logo. It's the name Rotary together with this wheel, which is called the Mark of Excellence. And you can use that for any materials that you create for internal fundraisers or for any events without requiring permission from anybody else. So if you want to do t-shirts for a turkey trot or any other local event, you can use those Rotary brands and have any printer or any t-shirt shop produce products using those symbols. You're not allowed to create merchandise using those logos and then sell the merchandise. That requires a license from Rotary International, which is what organizations like the California Awards people or Russell Hampton have done. The other thing that I always see people confused about is when to use the Rotary theme for our year versus the main Rotary brand. And the way to think about that very simply is that the Rotary theme, Imagine Rotary, is intended to motivate existing Rotarians for the new year. So it's intended for internal communications primarily. The Rotary logo itself and all the other brand materials for campaigns like End Polio Now are intended for communication with the public, and are therefore what you should put on t-shirts or on banners or on any other materials that support your fundraisers or your service projects. In terms of your club website, let's talk about that real quick. Most of the clubs in our district utilize Club Runner as our both database platform for our membership database, as well as our website platform. And the district does the same. And so you can view your club website really as a communication tool that's targeted both at your members, but also at other district Rotarians and potential new Rotarians, new members. Very often when people hear about Rotary for the first time, for example, let's say the Beverly Rotary Club does an amazing project, they will type into Google Beverly Rotary to find out what that is, and then they will land up on the Beverly Rotary Club website. And so it's really important that your club website shows timely information about where you're actually currently really meeting, rather than where you used to meet 2 years ago before the pandemic. It's really important that you have a photo of the current club president there, that you have some information about upcoming speakers there, that you have timely and accurate information about what you're doing in your community, so that anybody who is interested in what is Rotary all about can find out about that and learn some more. It's also nice to have links from your club website to Rotary International and other places so that people can learn more if they want to. And as I mentioned, Club Runner has the added benefit that its membership database automatically also provides updates to the district, and it's all nicely integrated. And that gets me to our first point here, where I wanted to take a little break. So let me stop sharing here. And if you have any questions about this first part, please either raise your hand or unmute yourself, or use the built-in raise hand function, whatever you prefer. Oh, not everybody at the same time. Really, no questions. Okay. Oh, Pooja, go ahead. But you need to unmute.
Yeah. I was just wondering if there's any website to see like how the effective website should look like, because some of the clubs have the website, but it may not be as effective. Sometimes you don't have to show now, or tell later on sometime we can share. So we
As
can
an
just
example for what a good website looks like?
right for the club. I mean, is there any club or any place?
It's a very good question, and I believe in our Northeast Pet segment, we actually will have a list of example websites that we will talk about when we get to the March 4th and 5th timeline. And I can also send you a list of what the Public Image Committee, I think we last time we did a study is about a year or two ago, where we looked at all the clubs in our district and said, hey, who has a great website that others can use an example? And I think I can find that list somewhere and can also provide it to the group. Yeah, it's a good question. Thank you.
Thank you.
Dan, I see your hand up.
You got me thinking about Club Runner. I'm wondering whether there's any way we could approach Club Runner and get some sort of district-wide agreement with them, rather than doing it club by club by club. It's been an issue, and it hasn't been an issue recently, but at one point it was very inconvenient that we had to update our Club Runner subscription and pay at the same time that we were changing treasurers, and we got locked out of Club Runner for a month. So
that is unfortunate. As far as I know, there's no group pricing that Club Runner offers. So I don't think that's an option, but I can reach out to them and ask them. Maybe they've changed their pricing model. Any other questions?
To lower my hand. I don't know how to do that.
I can do that for you. Don't worry.
I'll figure it out.
Any other questions? I see one in the chat. Where's the training for the district grants? That is going to be during district assembly. And district assembly, I believe, is April 27.
Is there going to be a non-in-person option for that training, or is that going to be only in person?
At the moment, we are hoping that the virus will be, I don't want to say under control, but less of a concern by April. Yeah. And so we're hoping it can be done in person. However, we have for the last 2 years always offered an online option for those who cannot make it to the district assembly. So there will be a way to take the district grant qualification seminar at a later point in time if people miss the.
It hasn't been very predictable so far.
Correct, and then we'll definitely look at what the virus situation does between now and April. I mean, as you've seen, we've canceled or rather moved online this event tonight, as well as the World Peace and Understanding dinner next week, and we'll keep monitoring the situation. And so if things go south again, I don't know what comes after Omicron. Pi, I guess, is the next variant. At least that's the next letter in the Greek alphabet. It may be too cute for a bad virus name, so I don't know what the WHO is going to do. But if there's a concern at that point in time, we might go online again. But I really hope that we're out of the woods by then. As I said, the online option is going to be basically a YouTube video that you will need to watch, followed by an online quiz that you have to take. And we've offered that for the last 2 years for people who missed the district assembly. And we have the information. The next variant has been named BA.2. Okay, good to know. Thank you. Tom, I see you're back here. Is your group done already?
Yes, we are fast learners.
Fantastic, fantastic. Well, welcome back, everybody. From your group then, unless your president's already left, in which case, only welcome back to you, my friend.
Welcome back, May.
Awesome. Strawberry rhubarb pie. That's a nice name for the variant too. I like it. Okay.
Alexander, Gene here with the Wakefield Club.
Yes.
I have a question in regards to the logins. You know, I'm able to get into the My Rotary or District Club, but when I go to the My Rotary website, I don't seem to be registered on there, or I'm not recognized on the international My Rotary site.
Okay.
Is that something I need to do? I'm looking at RI integration from the district site. Is that as simple as mating the two profiles?
Nothing is ever simple when it comes to Rotary International's data centers. So the short answer is that the two logins, the one that you use for Club Runner, for your Rotary Club website and for the district website on one hand, and the login for My Rotary are completely separate. They're not connected at all. And if you don't have a login for My Rotary, then the easiest way to do that is to go to the My Rotary website, and then there's
Just
an option
register.
to sign up for one.
Yeah.
And once you have done that, I can then see in the background whether or not it has been correctly connected to your account, so that you have all the privileges as a president-elect. But if you first create one and then shoot me a quick email, I can help you with that.
All right. Very good.
Okay. And with that, I think we're going to go into, if everybody's ready, into our next segment. Let me just share the screen again here. And the next segment that we want to talk about tonight in our pre-PEDS training is section 2, which covers the district. So we've talked about Rotary International, we've talked about public image, and now we're going to talk about our district and its leadership and structure, who the assistant governors are and what their roles is. And we're going to talk about our youth and young adult programs to give you a quick overview over those. So the district governor track that you see here on the screen is our current leadership succession planning. Our current district governor, you've met her before, is Terry Kern, of course. I will be working with you as president-elect next year for the Rotary Year 22-23. Then Lori Karas, our current district governor nominee, who was unable to join us tonight, unfortunately, will be leading the presidents and clubs in 23-24. And then Tom Hankert will take over for 24-25 as district governor nominee designate. The succession plan comes about insofar as that every August, we ask our Rotary clubs in our district to nominate any one of their members as district governor for the following year, 3 years down the road, essentially. And then there's a nominating committee that meets in October or November that discusses all the received nominations and interviews those candidates, and then proposes one person to be the next district governor nominee designee. And that person then becomes official starting January 1st. So if you have any Rotarians in your club who are interested in stepping up to becoming district governor, the requirement is that you have to have been a Rotarian for 7 years. You have to have already served as club president. And we also highly recommend that you've worked already as assistant governor. So the path to get to be a nomination as district governor leads via the assistant governor role. Now, what does the district governor actually do? Well, the district governor should perform a host of specific duties to assure that the quality of Rotary does not falter in the district. And they're responsible to promote and implement all programs and activities of the Rotary International president and the RI board of directors. The governor also plans and hosts a district conference and other special events. And the district structure is defined in the district bylaws. The governor is the office of Rotary International in the district and is in charge with furthering the objective of Rotary by providing leadership. And this is the really most important part of it, supporting the clubs. It is my role to support all of you. It's not that I tell you what to do or you work for me. It's the exact opposite. My job is to support you, to provide you with training, and to help your club succeed. And all the assistant governors, and we'll talk about that in a couple more slides, are here to help me help you. They are the liaison between the district and the clubs. But together, the assistant governors and the entire DG track are here to serve you and to support you and to make your clubs better. As I mentioned, the nomination process is defined in the manual of procedure and the district bylaws. And in our case, the nomination invitation goes out in August. And Rotarians volunteer in our district to help other clubs and other Rotarians accomplish what the clubs want. And that's true for all of the district committees. We have a membership committee, obviously, a public image committee, and all of them are there to help support you. So what are the fundamental duties that I have to fulfill? The training assembly, we already talked about that. That's happening in April 27. That is where the club secretaries and club treasurers will receive their training, as well as the grants management, grants qualification training that we're doing. It is the president-elect training seminars, which we started tonight and which concludes with Northeast Pets in early March. It's a district conference. It is one business or legislative meeting, which we typically hold conjointly with the district conference. Last year, we did it separately, but normally it's done at the same time. Obviously, I'm responsible for the management of district finances with the help of the district treasurer, of course, and with the management of all the grants, the global district and local grants. As you saw before, we have about $137,000 from Rotary International that we can spend in grants in the next year. 68,000 on the district side, district managed grants, and 68,000 on the global grant side. And to help me administer all of that, we of course have a district Rotary Foundation chair and a foundation committee that works with the clubs on reviewing those grants, approving the grants, and also making sure that they are implemented correctly. The business meeting is the legislative aspect of our district meeting, and they typically take place at the district conference or sometimes online. And each club gets to send a certain number of delegates. It's based on the club size to vote on all the matters that affect the district. Such a district business meeting, for example, can revise the bylaws for our district if there are some bylaws revisions that need to be made. And we will definitely have one again at the district conference this year. So what resources does the district provide to you? As I mentioned, there is a membership committee, a public image committee, a foundation committee. We have several youth services, and those all fall under the umbrella of the community chair, who's here with us tonight, Marnie Walsh. So we have in the youth services, and we'll talk about those a little bit later, we have Interact, we have Rotaract, we have RILA and Rotary Youth Exchange. The district also theoretically has a visioning committee, although we haven't done much in terms of visioning in the last few years. And we organize, in partnership with the Rotary Leadership Institute, RLI training sessions, where Rotarians can learn more about leadership in general and especially leadership within Rotary. We have for many years supported a Rotary Means Business initiative that we will hopefully try to revive again. The Rotoplast mission is a very, very important district project where we send volunteers typically to the Philippines to help on a surgery mission for cleft lip and palate surgery projects every fall. It has been suspended, unfortunately, during the pandemic. We have a diversity, equity, and inclusion committee that can help your club develop a DEI plan and become more diverse, equitable, and inclusive. They can help you do trainings on hidden biases and various other things, microaggressions, etc. And last but not least, we have our own district Rotary Wine Appreciation Fellowship. If you haven't heard about that yet, it's the last Sunday of every month where a couple of us get together online on a Zoom call with a glass of wine, just for the purpose of enjoying each other's company. So that's a list of the district resources. Obviously, you can find out more about all of these on the district website. If you don't know the district website address, it's rotary7930.org. And that gets me to this next thing here, which is the theme calendar. So Rotary, in addition to giving each president the opportunity to pick their presidential theme for the year, which in our case with Jennifer Jones is Imagine Rotary, Rotary also has a monthly rotating calendar of themes. And the official ones start in August. July actually doesn't have an official theme. Everybody just calls it changeover months because, of course, the new club leadership takes over and there's maybe a club installation dinner where the new president and new board are sworn in. But there's officially no theme for July. Starting in August, we then go through this rotating cycle of themes. And I plan to talk about these themes in both my monthly district governor emails to the entire district, as well as having them clearly visible with a banner on the website, so that people can think about all these various different aspects of what Rotary does and how Rotary does good in the world. And if you have a club project that you're doing, a service project, and it's associated with any of these themes, I would highly recommend that you maybe plan it in that particular month so that you can take advantage of the publicity around these themes. So August is membership and new club development month. September, we talk about basic education, literacy. October is economic and community development. In November, we focus on the Rotary Foundation, which is also why we typically have our Rotary Foundation dinner for the district in the month of November. December, we focus on disease prevention and treatment. January is about vocational service. February, starting in just a few days, is about peace and conflict prevention resolution. In March, we focus on water and sanitation. In April, on maternal and child health care. In May, on youth services. And in June, on the fun stuff, all the different Rotary fellowships. And so what you can do as club president, of course, is you can also utilize these themes as topics when you talk to your club members. If you make this a theme for every single month in your club, then it provides a different topic for the Rotarians to talk about things. Maybe you could align your speakers with those themes. Maybe you can find an opportunity for new members to think about these themes and maybe come up with a new idea for a new project or a new grant. Just something to keep in mind for your coming year. Now let's talk about our wonderful friends, the assistant governors. We have many of you on the call here tonight. Thank you so much. And the assistant governors really are the connection between your club and the district. It's your customer service representative, if you so will, for the Rotary District 7930. So whenever you have a question, a concern, a request, your first call should be to your assistant governor as club president-elect or club president throughout the next year. And your assistant governor will be the one that can then direct you to the right resource. They can either connect you with the DI committee, or they can bring a concern to my attention. They can show you resources where you can find them on the RI website. They can point you to the public image committee's resources. They should be your first go-to person. And really the relationships that assistant governors build with club leaders over the years tend to make Rotary as an organization that much stronger. You, of course, also all have my contact information all the time. So any question you have, if you can't reach your AG, you can always contact me directly. I'm always available here for you. As I said, my job is to support all of you and make sure that you have the greatest possible year as club president and that your club is successful during that year. The AGs will be coming to your clubs to visit them regularly. We ask AGs that they visit their clubs at least once a quarter. And that can be a visit in person, or it can be, sometimes they don't have the time to come out to your club, can be a phone call, or it can be a Zoom call if you're meeting online, or if you have a hybrid meeting format. But we really want you to know that you can reach out to your AG more often than once a quarter. So if you have a problem in week 2 of the month, you don't have to wait until they show up the next time at your club meeting. Just pick up the phone or send an email. The way the structure works is that each AG has between 3 and 4 clubs assigned to them to be their liaison and, as I said, customer support representative. I will also be coming to visit your clubs. It is my job as a district governor to visit each and every club in my district. And so between now and March, if you could think about whether or not you want to have sort of a combined visit with another club, that would be fantastic, right? There are some clubs that make the DG visit a combined event. For example, Amesbury and Newburyport have very often done a combined meeting and invited the DG to come to that. It's something that other clubs can do as well. If it's a larger group, that's more fun. I'm happy to do that, but I'm also happy to come to each club individually. And then we will probably around March start actually putting dates on the calendar. Ideally for any time between July and November. I would love to be done with all my club visits by November, simply because I want to talk to all the members in your club about the new Rotary theme and about other initiatives in our district. And there's very little point in doing that in May when my term ends 2 months later. So that's why we try to do the DG visits fairly early in the year. Of course, putting 47 visits on my calendar means it's going to take a few months, but we'll start the planning process for that in a few weeks. And this is a photo from when DG Terry was doing one of her club visits with the banner from Sheikh Ahmeda, the current RI president. Now here's a little bit of mini training for all of you AGs on the call. Obviously, you will have your own separate sessions as assistant governors during Northeast Pets, where you'll get a lot more training. But my request to you is that you make it a habit to visit the clubs regularly, at least once a quarter, listen to them and enabling the discussions of their concerns and their needs, and then provide information resources to them that will allow the clubs to be more successful, and promote the best practices recommended in the various RI documents that we have. There is one called Be a Vibrant Club, your club leadership plan, which we will share with all AGs and club presidents soon. And those can be super helpful in making your club more engaging for the members and more active. And keep me up to date of the club's process and identify any areas that may need a concern. If you, for example, find out that a club has difficulty finding a meeting location, let me know, and I'll be trying to help work with that club to locate a better meeting facility, or at least share with them ideas from what other clubs have done successfully. Right? Sometimes it's not about any wisdom from our eye, but it's rather knowing what other clubs in the district have done and maybe copying that model. And of course, helping help all the club leaders to prepare for the DG visit and show them all the online tools that are available. And we'll cover the online tools in a separate session during Northeast Pets in much more detail. And as I said, the role is to be the liaison between the district and the club, and really to be there for you club presidents as a resource for the entire presidential year. Now let's talk about youth programs, one of my favorite topics. I've been previously District Youth Exchange Chair for a few years, and have been involved in the Rotary Youth Exchange program for many, many years. Even as a host family, we've hosted students from 7-8 different countries over the years while my kids were in high school. So that's one of my passions. Oh, and I see that a lot of people are coming back into the main room. It looks like DG Terry's session is over. So welcome to anybody who just came back into the main room. So let's talk about these different youth programs, right? The district and the clubs together really provide a great deal of support to the youth. We have many, many programs in our clubs where we do scholarships for students, where we do dictionaries, where we do community infrastructure improvements that really enrich the lives of young peoples and families. Our Rotary clubs are facilitators of positive growth for youth leadership, and very often work together with the high schools and other community youth organizations to manage that. And so the question for you as club leaders is, what will you do in your year as club president? Will you maybe re-engage with an Interact club that has fallen a little bit by the wayside as a result of the pandemic? Maybe they were not able to meet in the last 2 years and need a helping hand to restart that Interact club at the local high school. Or maybe it is sending kids to the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, which we'll discover on the next slide. So briefly, what is Interact? Interact is basically a high school service club that is based on the principle of Rotary. And usually the Interact club is constructed in such a way that you have 2 advisors. One is typically a teacher, somebody from the high school, and the other advisor is a Rotarian, a member of your Rotary club. And these 2 advisors work together to organize the meeting of that service club. I can tell you in Marblehead, for example, at 7:30 a.m. every Friday, the Interact club meets in the auditorium at the high school for half an hour before first bell. And they plan out what service projects they're going to do that week, or whether or not they're going to do a microloan to help people in impoverished countries using microfinance platforms, or whether or not they're going to set up a bagel sale at the next midterms, for example. And sometimes there is a spring Interact conference that some districts organize. We have not done that in recent years in my memory, but what we've done instead is organize something that we call the Interact Cafe. So every couple of months, a lot of Interact clubs and advisors get together to talk about various topics. We've done Interact cafes in person before the pandemic, and in recent years we've done them online. We just did one earlier this week about microloans and microfinance. The other program that I want you to know about is RYLA. It's the Rotary Youth Leadership Awards, and this is really a weekend-long leadership training for high school sophomores and juniors. The kids are organized in what's called families when they get together for this weekend, and each family is then led by an experienced prior participant in the program. So it's the seniors that are leading these families through various exercises, supported by a lot of Rotarians as chaperones. Unfortunately, we were unable to do RILA during the last 2 years. There is an alumni version of RILA that will be running this year, so it's only for prior leaders in RILA, and then we'll hopefully be able to restart the program next year. Typically, the people to go to RILA are students that are selected by the guidance counselors as possible leadership candidates, and then recommended to the Rotary Club. The Rotary Clubs then sponsor the kids to go to the RILA weekend, which I believe is $375 per kid to sponsor them from memory. And then Rotary Youth Exchange is this program that allows us to send kids abroad for a certain period in time. We have a short-term program that allows them to go abroad for a few weeks in the summer. It's typically a family-to-family exchange. So Rotary just plays matchmaker and connects 2 families in 2 countries. And then the kid from here goes to, let's say, Italy for 3 weeks, stays there with a family that also has a young adult, and then both kids come to the United States for 3 weeks. So the 2 young adults become best buddies as a result of that, and also have a very deep cultural experience living abroad at another family for 3 or 4 weeks in the summer. The long-term program is the more dedicated one, where it's an entire high school year. So a person gets to go abroad and go to school in Germany, Italy, France, Chile, Indonesia, wherever they apply to, and then lives there with 3 separate host families for the entire year. And then they come back at the end of June. And the flip side, of course, is also that we, it's called Youth Exchange for a reason, we then host a student from another country in our communities. So it's the Rotary clubs that participate in Youth Exchange that find 3 local host families if they're hosting a student. And then that student goes to the high school in one of our communities. We've done it for many years in Marblehead. And I know that Beverly has participated a lot, Ipswich, Melrose, North Andover. So if your club is interested in thinking about participating in a program like Youth Exchange, you can reach out to me. You can reach out to Bob Ford, our current District Youth Exchange chair, and we can definitely come to your club, give you the background information and the training on what is entailed and what it means to participate in one of these programs. It's a very rewarding experience, both for obviously the student that gets to go abroad. It's really a chance of a lifetime, and also a very rewarding experience we find for the Rotary Club. Rotaract, while strictly not a direct youth program anymore, because it's now part of Rotary directly, is our college-aged club model. Rotaractors are typically between the ages of 18 and 30. And the business of Rotaract is to expose young adults to the value of being a Rotarian. Rotaract clubs can either be chartered in connection with a college, or they can be a community-based Rotaract club that operates outside the college and just targets young adults in that age range, and really tries to inspire them to make a difference in the world, and how to use the 4-way test as a template for their ethical compass and for their career. And that gets me to the end of section 2. And with that, to the end of our pre-pets part 1. And we have some questions in the chat, and then obviously I want to have questions from you directly too. One question in the chat was, how does the student exchange get funded? Tuition and travel and everything else. For Rotary Youth Exchange, it is the parents that pay for the travel, as well as for the insurance, as well as for a small administrative fee of the program. The tuition is typically zero, because in most countries that we send the kids to, there is no cost to attending high school. And the Rotary clubs there provide about $120 stipend to the student for incidentals and other costs. One other question I got is, do we send out this presentation via email? Yes, absolutely. You will get a copy of the PowerPoint slides, as well as a few other links via email after this. Any other questions?
Alexander, I have a question.
Yes.
It may be off topic, so we might want to take this offline, but I'm just thinking about the Rotoplast and how we haven't done it for 2 years. And so there's probably a huge backlog of potential patients. Are we thinking of doing a sort of extra large Rotoplast mission when we're finally able to do that again?
It's a very good question. I'm going to ask Terry Kern, our DG, to answer this one, because it's her passion and she's been very much monitoring the situation with Rotoplast. Terry?
Thank you, Alexander, and thank you for asking about Rotoplast. Rotoplast is slowly reopening, but not in the same form. So Juan Gallego from the Chelsea Club is going on a mission, but he is going down to South America or Central America someplace. They're not reopening the big missions because, like where we went, Cebu, not only is it not safe to go there, but they also got hit by a tsunami or some kind of weather event this past year. So they're in really rough shape. When they do get back to be going, yes, there will be, instead of the 100 children that we normally service, 200 or 300, because nobody has been there in 2 years. So when Rotoplast itself, I get an update from them every quarter, every 3 months or so. When they give me an update that they are starting to think about reopening Cebu, the Philippines, and it will take them a minimum of 6 to 9 months to set up a mission, then we will automatically sign on for that mission and we will start raising funds. Normally our funds have been 65,000. That's because it's 6 to 650 for each surgery, and there's 100 kids who get surgery. That's where they come up with the figure of what we donate, 65,000. So if they're expecting significantly more than that, they will be expecting significantly more from us. So when that time comes, I will, as a past governor, be coming around to the clubs and asking you to support it. And hopefully whoever is governor when that happens will also support it, and the district will again support it, because anybody who has been on that mission knows that we just change lives and it changes you. There's not even any way to immeasurably, there's not a way to measure how much it changes you, seeing what you do and seeing what real abject poverty looks like compared to when we think we have terrible lives and things aren't fair and whatever. There's just no comparison, and it really makes you look at your own life and say, what am I complaining about? I have electricity, there's not wires hanging down, everybody has clothes on, shoes on, has enough to eat or whatever. So yes, thank you for asking about that. And as soon as Rotoplast gets going, I will be at the forefront in this district taking care of it.
Fantastic. Thank you, Terry.
Yeah.
Any other questions?
I have it.
Yes, Pooja.
You know how you said that the travel will be, it's about the Rotaract, not Rotaract, I'm sorry. The
Youth exchange?
The youth exchange program. Yeah.
Yes.
Usually the people, in that area, their students go to the school at no cost, but from other zone, if the schools accept the students, usually they charge a nominal fees or something. I don't know if it is the same here also, or it's
It's a very good question. So if your Rotary Club wants to get started with Rotary Youth Exchange, you would need to sit down with the principal at the high school and have that conversation. For example, in Marblehead, the Marblehead High School takes, I believe, between 7 and 10 international students from a commercial operator. It's a company called Educations that does commercial youth exchange, where basically parents pay $30,000 for their kids to go abroad. So it's a big chunk of money. And the high school in turn charges those commercial operators the full tuition. So I believe Marblehead High School charges about $15,000 at the moment for one semester of tuition. However, for Rotary, it is a true exchange. So one kid from the Marblehead High School gets to go abroad, and therefore one other kid from another country gets to take their place, and so the Rotary Club is not charged a tuition. That's the way we've found the agreement with the Marblehead High School, but it's upon the Rotary Club to start that conversation with the high school, and the district youth exchange team is happy to assist with that process.
Okay, so that means that $30,000 can be reduced that the parents are paying because the school is not charging any tuition or something like that.
Well,
or
the $30,000 was an example of what a commercial operator like Education charges the parents.
Okay.
Participating in Rotary Youth Exchange is much less money. It's between $9,000 and $12,000, depending on exactly which country you go to and what the airfare is, because all of the other monies are not required because of all the volunteerism involved, right?
Yeah.
You have volunteer host families, you have volunteer Rotarians who pick the kid up from soccer practice and drive him back home. You have all of these factors that really, if you take it together as a combined package, provide a huge, you could call it scholarship value. And we also have a brochure in the District Youth Exchange team that talks about Rotary Youth Exchange being a scholarship program, and we can share that with you.
Okay, thank you.
Absolutely.
Okay, I have one comment
Please.
on the Rotoplas, Terry. Years ago, Donna Lee Rubin was heavily involved when she was a district governor in the Rotoplas mission. She would go down to the Central America, Venezuela, South America. And one of the things that really got our club involved with the Rotoplas mission is they had a photographer, a videographer who would videotape and take photographs, and she would go around to all the clubs to show people them, because I don't know how many people who are in the Rotary Club nowadays really know what the Rotoplas mission is all about and what good they do. We had actually one of our doctors from the Winchester Hospital, one of the plastic surgeons, that went on many of those trips performing these operations. And so I just think it would be something to, once you start getting back into the Rotoplast, that maybe you could start going around to the different clubs with some photographs, just to enlighten everybody, to get some everybody involved and to contributing to the cause.
Thank you. I have two great poster boards that are filled with smiling children's faces that are Rotoplast, and one of the quilts that every child gets so that you can see what it is. I have a small frame that runs a video show, and I also have 2 or 3 PowerPoints that in the past couple of years that we went, when we send 8 full volunteers, a whole team, we're sending a photographer. They now call him the historian. So we have a huge amount of photos and videos, and there's a grade of one team that I was on that plays to that train song with the ukulele, Somewhere Over the Rainbow. And it's a great video to watch and to see. So we have all that promo material.
Good.
And Donna Lee Rubin is a friend of mine, and she's down in Florida now. When Rotoplast shut down, she went down to Florida to take care of her mother. So I'll be seeing her again in about a month when I'm in Florida. We'll have lunch. And you mentioned to her that you thought of her fondly.
She was a very vibrant individual.
Absolutely.
Very good. Any more questions from any of the presidents-elect? I don't see any hands, so that's either a really good sign or a really bad sign. I hope that you found the content enjoyable, and as I promised you, I will send you an email with the link to the PowerPoints, and also we will have the recording of the session posted on YouTube at some point in time in the future, so that you can reference back to it. And as I said, my job really is to support all of you to make your year as club president the best possible year you're going to have. And all the AGs will help me with that. And I thank them for their volunteering for this role. And together we can hopefully imagine Rotary. With that, I wish you all a wonderful evening. I promised you I would not keep you until later than 8 o'clock, and we're actually done 24 minutes early, which is even better. So please enjoy your evening. And I will see you all again for Pre-Pets Part 2 on Saturday, February 12th at 3 p.m. And that will be as efficient as tonight, so you don't have to worry about anything. Have a wonderful evening, and thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Alex.
Thank you so much.
Thank you, Alexander.